Hola. How about those two guys that are up here? It's not going to be that good, trust me. But I have a lot of guitars, and I'm trying to learn how to play them. As Steve Latin Nations, you say, he just mentioned him, the drummer that we played with. There are guitar owners. That's still what I call myself, I'm a guitar owner. Getting into this instrumental guitar thing was like, I was in a rock band, a few rock bands, you know, trying to be rock god and whatever. And I always wanted to play with Jeff Nicholson, the bass player that Nicky Six, you know, they ended up with John Nyritis, but he would never let me be in his band. So one day he called me up and he says, hey, you want to go in the studio, record some surf instrumentals like this? And so that was my, I already liked this stuff because when I was a kid, you know, it made me want to play guitar. You know, it was the Ventures and that, and it never occurred to me even that you could play this stuff in a bar. I mean, it never crossed my mind, you know. And then John Blair gets a call that they wants to play the Santa Monica Civic with the Surf Punks and Dick Dale, and man, it was like out of the blue. But anyway. You know, I played John and Nyritis in a lot of the, you know, like more 60s kind of approach, you know, for that stuff. And I started writing songs back in my, you know, after I'd been playing with the band for a while, I was writing songs, and actually a few of those ended up being on the first Slacktone album, you know, years later. But yeah, it was very, you know, interesting problem to figure out, you know, with just notes and communicate to people, and you're not doing a bunch of fusion, you know, virtuoso jamming and everything. You know, it's all about the theme and the feel, and you know, and all that, and keeping focused, you know, and not wandering off into La La Land like, you know, kind of happened in the later 60s with a lot of that stuff. I mean, the classic records for me that stand the test of time today, you could go with any kind of people, any age or whatever music they're into, and the original record of Pipeline, it just has such an atmosphere and a mystery to it. The songs like Mr. Moto, you know, some of those really classic songs back then. And actually, speaking of the original Safaris, the guy was here yesterday, that's one of my favorites, the sound of those records of like, the song Bombora, you know. It's really mysterious sounding, I really just like the way that stuff sounds. And the other song that they had that I really like is that, exotic. I love that stuff. But I love the Beach Boys too, you know, and the imagery of all those songs obviously took the world by storm as well. We even have a Slacktone song called Ryan's Beached Piano, which tried to sound like a whole production with one guitar, you know. I know there's probably a lot of guitar players here, you know, and that's one of the things I did in that song, you know, the 12-string kind of sound, because I love the sound of the animals and all those, you know, like. So when you're playing three-piece with no singer and no just jamming all over the place, you got to find different ways to change the texture and have it go someplace and be able to express, you know, through dynamics and, you you know, variations of sounds. I don't know if there's questions that you have for me that you always want to ask. Here I am. I'm captured here. You know, I'm really picky about sound, and these amps I started by this Slacktone amp on this side with the white knobs. Started out as a super reverb, and had one of my amp tech guys, a genius dude, modify this to kind of come on the way I like. It has a 3-knob reverb built into it. This other Slacktone amp was built from the ground up. He might even be here, the guy that made it. I guess he's not. He was gonna be here. But, you know, to try to, I played in rock bands forever, you know, mostly cover bands with some original bands too. And usually 3-piece, and I'm having to like make these songs sound like the records that had all this instrumentation on it, so. That's I carry that philosophy through the Slacktone stuff too as well. I like big sounds like that are fidelic, you know, where you can get pretty and romance it, but lay on a little bit more, you know, like. Almost knew that song. But the songs, you know, I feel I'm somewhat successful in accomplishing something. I'll stumble on some little thing. I pick up the guitar, and now recording's free, at least at home, and you can record on your phone. Always record. You know, one morning, I used to wake up like 5 in the morning on weekends after my job. I worked for Fender Guitars for a long time. That still. I had to drive by Fender on when they took me off the freeway coming here yesterday, and I had a little PTSD driving by. Oh yeah, I remember that one. Anyway, so on weekends you know, for 10, 12 hours each Saturday and Sunday, you know, try to get lucky writing stuff, you know. So one morning, you know, the sun hadn't come up, and I just had my Echoplexes. I use tube Echoplexes, which is the most flattering thing the electric guitar has ever been plugged into. That's why on both studio Slacktone albums, I'm using 3 tube Echoplexes at the same time. But I played I started playing these intervals on top of each other. And it was like early Sunday morning, like 5 in the morning. I was thinking like, it sounds like church bells kind of. And I was like picturing like, yeah, probably in Huntington Beach, there's guys, you know, driving to surf, you know, going through town. They're gonna get there early, and they might hear a sound like that on their way over there. So that kind of turned into something, that's all. I almost didn't show it to those guys, because I thought, oh, that part's cool, but the rest of it, I don't know, you know. But I finally did show it to them. It kind of worked out. That's one of the song the bells are singing. And these little echoes work okay, but with the tube echoplexes, it just is a very ethereal sound. And so you get that, the harmonization of the echoes going and then playing over the top, just like real bells. You know, they ring one and it's a tone, you ring another one, and sometimes they'll oscillate between the two, especially if you got like a third and a fourth going at the same time, like that. It does that, makes your ears kind of warm up or whatever. So you try to get lucky with stuff like that, you know, and I get these little riffs. I've got over 3,000 of them in my phone. But I don't just want to attach a bunch of crap to something cool. I wait till somewhere down the road, maybe I got something, you know, that might work with that. I might have to change the key of one of them to make it work musically. But that's how I try to get lucky and play mind games with myself all the time. But the important thing is to capture it, because many times you can play something and go, wow, that was pretty cool. How did I do that? And it's the other side of your brain, and it's like somebody else did it, and you can't quite get it. So I highly recommend always. There's an app on the phone you can get called Audio Share, which is a lifesaver for me. And, you know, thinking about try not to do the exact obvious thing, you know. I mean, the biggest thing is you want to hit big, you know, hit the biggest, loudest thing you got. Well, why not find ways to, in an interesting way, to get there, to get to that, something that, and that's kind of, one of the songs on that new single is kind of like, part of it is that thinking, you know, where trying to find a creative way to get to the big chord. So I was writing these songs, started writing these songs in John and the Night Riders, and we were playing them live, but since it wasn't really my band, we didn't get to record them, but we're playing them live every night, and it's pretty cool. Songs like Rosarito, Skateboard Commando, Tidal Wave, ECH, so, you know, a few of those, you know. And so I was in various rock bands after that, and, you know, all the drama and everything that happens with that stuff, you know. And in 1995, I just said to myself, after I'd been through one of those, I go, I'm gonna do this instrumental thing the way I think I already got some songs, you know. So I ran into Dusty at the NAMM show, hadn't seen him in a while, and he just got out of something he was in, and he said, you want to try this? You want to do this? And he said, yeah. And turns out he already knew Mike Sullivan, and I knew Mike from before. It was a really weird coincidence that they had played in that last project together in LA. So I remember the first song I showed Mike was Skateboard Commando. Just showed him real quick, it goes to this, to this, to this, to this, and boom-bitty, boom-bitty, boom, you know. First take, it was great, you know. We did like 1 or 2 rehearsals maybe, and then went in the studio and recorded most of that first album, you know. And you know, it's a good roll. So I played a 58 Strat on that first album. I rewired Stratocasters where in the middle switch makes the outside 2 pickups, so that's why it has that kind of sound which you wouldn't expect from a Stratocaster. And I ended up buying. I played in John of the Night Riders. I had a '65 Shoreline Gold Jaguar. I sold to Brian Setzer, and when he came to Fender, I asked him, "Hey, you still got that guitar?" And he goes, "Yeah, man, I love that guitar. It's on track 12 of my album. It's on Hollywood Nocturne, I think it's called." And so anyway, I bought a employee sale, a Japanese Jaguar for $100. Ended up using it on the Slim Jims commercials that we did. If you ever remember, they were made for the X Games, and they're like cartoons. Did about 5 of those, I think, you know, and that was all that guitar through a couple Marshall amps. They liked the energy of Slacktone, but they didn't want that kind of sound, so it was kind of that kind of. So I've been for a while. It's hard to do it now. Finding old necks, Jaguar necks. It's a different scale than a Stratocaster or a Telecaster. But what I think happened was a lot of guys are wearing out their Strats and frets and stuff, and I'll just pull the neck off these Jaguars that everybody hates now, you know, try to put it on the Strat, but it doesn't work. So that makes an orphan neck floating around. So there was a period of time where on Reverb or eBay you could get them. Like this one is a 1964 neck that I got, and then I built the guitar around that, you know. And so I've been lucky enough, I got 14 of them now. So, but these all from 1962, 63. This is the only 64 I have. And, they were just really great in those years. Still Brazilian rosewood fingerboards, which became kind of illegal, you know, around 65 they stopped using it. And the shapes of them, they're all different shapes, you know, some skinny and some not. I got a blue one over here that's got the biggest neck that I've ever seen on a Jaguar, and usually they're kind of known for skinny necks, which in the later 60s they became skinny. And great thing about Jaguars, if you have the tailpieces set right, I'll get into guitar nerdism here a little bit.
Yeah.
Rid of that. Okay. If you break a string, you can lock it, and you got 5 strings that are in tune, and you can still use your tremolo arm, only going down. Plus, you can also go. Down to D, on the fly, in tune, with the tremolo arm. You ain't gonna do that with a Strat. And I have even another one, I go down to C. I can remember how to play it. That's a great thing about these guitars. That kind of stuff, you can just jump around with it, different tunings. Any questions about guitar or music and stuff? Yeah.
Would you mind to take us through your pedal board just real quickly and explain why you chose what?
That's a good, the why is a good thing. I'm glad you sparked my brain. Yeah, I'm using Well, I'm going into, well, tuner, you know about those, right? Turbo tuner, the best ever, made in California, but not anymore. They're now going to be made in China, but whatever, that's life. So, the first thing, it's a thing called a Chula, made by Love Pedal, and this is a Germanian one. Germanian transistors, which are, you know, long since haven't been made, probably since the 60s. And what it does is, I turn this stuff off and I'll show you. Here's without it. And I'm going through a 1964 Fender reverb unit with the original RCA tubes in it. I never take it out of the house, so I brought it for you. I got two of them. Look at it, in 1964 with the original tubes, it's great. And, so this is without this stuff turned on. And so here's what the Chula is. It's probably made, Josh Smith, a very good guitar player, it was designed for him. And since I'm not rocking stuff out as hard as, you know, probably most people that use these are, I have the guitar turned down way low. You know, I use the guitar on like 2 or 3 on the knob, usually. Sometimes I'll get it up higher, but I don't want to push that thing too hard, but without it. So the idea is to make yourself sound and be able to control the volume to make it sound the way the records sounded. Not how those bands probably sounded live in the 60s, because it probably sounded pretty not so pleasant, but it's what they had. And then after that, I'm a big Echoplex guy. I use tube Echoplexes, but I really like the solid state ones as well. So the preamps inside the solid state Echoplexes are very flattering to the guitar. So this particular one that I have today is made by Slacktone, and it's called a secret preamp. It's not a secret anymore though, is it? So now I'll turn that on. Without it, it gives a little bit more aggressive stuff in the mids and some fidelity. Sounds a little wimpy without it. And then something that mimics the echo sound of a solid state Echoplex is a pedal. And then I'm using another echo back behind the reverb unit. It's an old Memory Man, and it's got 2 outputs, and so it makes the amps, it's got a little stereo thing going. Plus, the style of circuitry it has is, again, something that makes your guitar sound really, really good. That's what David Gilmour used in Pink Floyd, and different people like Andy Summers and all that. You know, they were...
Never heard of them.
Yeah, I know. They were a surf band from Nevada. They played out in the desert. You know?
The black thing on the bridge plate, is that something special?
I'm glad you are very astute. Good eyesight too.
Or a bass player?
It's actually a grommet, you know, like using plumbing, you know, or like a seal or whatever
Can I
you call it.
guess? Does it keep the strings from vibrating?
Yes, and here's the reason why. There's a reason that people hated Jaguars and Jaguars for 40 years and they weren't even worth 50 bucks to anybody. Okay, that sound, when you play up high, that's what it does. People don't like that. So what I do is this little, it's like a seal going in some kind of plumbing stuff, whatever, it fits in here. And now, it calms that down. Because it could be out of tune. Without it. Showing it very well. But anyway, that's what it does. It makes it where you don't have your out of tune stuff following you around, especially when you're playing up high on the neck, which a lot of people avoid. Guitar players. I worked at Fender forever, and the first thing people do is in the middle of the neck play hippie blues, okay? Nothing wrong with hippie blues. but you got a whole neck, you know. I've got a lot of new songs that are all up high, you know, and it's a really good sound. If I knew how to play it. So when you're playing up really high like that, especially on the wound strings, this out of tune stuff is, it'll make you not do it, even if it's just subconsciously, you know. What I used to do at Fender to drive people nuts, I used to do a lot of things to do that. I go on these kind of guitars I play, I go up and see if I can make it happen. You get it, right? See where I'm going? See where I'm going with that?
Another question, Dave.
Yeah.
Some of us know that you went from the on-off switches with the strangle to the three-way, like on a Strat. Do you not like the strangle? Never use it, or why'd you get rid of it?
Yeah, what they call the strangle switch, when they have 3 switches here, it cuts low end. Because Jaguars, and maybe Jazzmasters too, but especially Jaguars, compared to a Strat or a Telecaster, the neck pickup has got a little bit more low end resonance, and the other one is a little brighter. And so they put in that low cut switch that people affectionately call it a strangle switch, one of the 3 switches. I just try to have my stuff adjusted EQ where I don't really need to worry about that kind of thing. But those 3 switches, Leo Fender, that's a mistake they made, those things. I remember when I first started using Jaguar again, Slacktone was playing this gig, and I was using 2 super reverbs back then, and in the middle of the song, all of a sudden, no sound. I go, what happened? They can't have both blown up, and I'm looking at all this stuff, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong? What happened was my pick hit those switches and turned myself off. I spent like 10 minutes trying to figure out why there was no sound. That's why you can Google my name about switch and this plate with the diagonal 3-way, you know, the Strat, you know, diagonal. You know, you have the Leonardo da Vinci, you know, photograph where the guy's doing this, you know. That's why I don't understand when Fender started ripping off my idea here. They made it parallel to the neck. So you go to hit it as fast and hard as I do these songs, you break your hand. I was selling these plates for a while to guys that bought Johnny Marr Jaguars. They go, yeah, I almost broke my hand on that thing, man. I go, yeah, I know. You got Leonardo, the Strats, they had it right, you know, originally. But, so I can make really quick changes, you know. Jump around really quick, you know. Yeah.
What was the first guitar you ever
played?
played?
I had a Stella acoustic, and then I had a 1 pickup Japanese electric guitar. It was horrible. I mean, I didn't have much money. I used to go and just stand in front of the music store outside and stare at the Fender guitars in the window, you know. And it took a while. I had a Hagstrom 12-string later, and my first really good guitar was a 1969 SG. Angus Young's favorite year is what I understand too. Yeah, it's a really good guitar. And I wanted to get a Strat at one point, and a friend of mine had seen one in an advertiser. Yeah, this old one looks just like the one on the back of the Layla album. I go, that's what I want. I want one of those. I go over and I want that guitar, but I had really no money then. I had to borrow the money from this girl I know, and I think I was taking too long to pay it back, and I felt bad about that, so I sold the SG to her, which she still has it. It's a 57 Strat that I had. It's the best one they ever made. January 1957. Best of the 56 attributes and the best of the 57. It's really, really amazing one. I have a 58 also. That's what I did the first Slacktone album with. Goldfinger was done with the 57. I've got a 53 Telecaster that got from a friend, and I've been lucky to have some good guitars. You know, I've got 50s Les Paul Jr. that's amazing.
Hey, Dave Wronski.
Yo.
Do you do any finger exercises, or do you just play guitar all day?
You know, I work myself so hard building guitars at Fender. Like, I've got some physical problems because of that. So there was plenty of exercise I was getting doing that stuff. You know, playing a little bit, and also not. Actually, I say electric guitars, don't play them acoustically. I know that goes against a lot of people's thinking. It's an electric guitar. If you play it acoustically, you're going to play too hard and all that. But when you're playing through an amp, you can play really soft and hear it and be really expressive. You know, and you can get into bad habits doing that. You know, I see people just playing really super hard all the time, you know. And you've got an amplifier, you know, that so you can play expressively, you know. I play little mind games. Guys in bands, I'll give this tip. I've been thinking about this the last, I don't know, years. It comes to my head every once in a while because we don't play a lot. And when I'm going to play, I got to get my head into it, right? And since, you know, I'm balancing all this stuff, like where I got the guitar set and get my right tone and all this stuff, you know. So I'll turn on a song that I'm going to play against. And my thing now is, when that song starts, I gotta play the song. Whatever way it's set, if it's set where it's too loud, whatever, I gotta lighten up my touch. If it's not loud enough, I'm not gonna stop and readjust something and force myself to deal with it. You know, it's like kind of a training regimen, you know. But enough of that kind of mind game stuff. You don't need to go and get those things with springs and start doing all that stuff, you know. I just think, you know, it is, and all and without using super strength all the time, you know, but it's maneuvering, you know, like, actually one song I think about, you know, I've had some old guitar straps that are really sentimental value. I had them repaired this week, and the song Daytona Mona, it's a hard song to play, and so that riff I want, you know, if I'm going to see like how I'm going to hold the guitar or the height or whatever, I go. That low riff is you know, it's a stretch thing, and it's down low and it's fast, you know. So you practice stuff like that without over muscling it, you know, if you're just getting into it, but just getting your ergonomics and your position right. You know, if you got it down at your knees, like, you know, you're playing in a punk rock band and try to play that riff, you're gonna hurt yourself, you know. So it's like, I used to be in this one cover band that I had a rubber guitar strap, and I didn't want to play the R&B stuff. I did it anyway, so when I was going to do the R&B stuff, I'd lift the guitar up, the rubber strap, and hold it like this high, and then the rock stuff, I'd push it down like that. It's pretty good. I got to get one of those again. They come in handy.
When you play with John the Night Riders, it's heavy, but it was pretty much traditional surf. Did you slowly evolve into what you're doing now, or was there like a light bulb aha moment where you're like, oh, this is now what I want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I was playing in bands, playing, you know, writing stuff, you know, doing original stuff, but also playing, you know, stuff that was popular at the time, which a lot of the stuff had cool guitar parts back then. But yes, because a lot of the stuff we were playing was like, it's all that kind of stuff, you know, a lot of the songs were, and so that's why I tried to widen it out by, well, Rosarito was one of the early ones, you know. Thinking about, you know, Rosarito Beach.
Slacktone is taking all these different areas, bringing it into what you're doing. It's a wider picture, more colors.
Trying to, yeah. Well, we're gonna play some of the stuff. Most of the stuff is like real simple arrangements. And I got some that went, like South Run has some more movements in it. But again, I'm just trying to create some imagery, but still keep it in, the theme and imagery of the ideals of the early music. Those are early singles and the surf instrumentals, like I mentioned, Pipeline and Mr. Moto and some of the other ones I'm not mentioning, the original Safari songs, all that stuff. Still trying to have that as I, cautiously add there, like the song that goes Spanish sounds and all that. And I use this technique, I have 2 fingernails that I go to the Chinese lady to make some parts that don't break, and so I can play all that 12-string type things or these chords like more like a piano grab,
Can you talk about, give us an update on the new Slacktone album?
There is a Slacktone single here today that's new stuff, and I'm curious to think what y'all think of that. And
what about a new album coming out?
I plan to. I have like 5 or 6 completed, demoed out right now, and that is definitely. People in my background have been cattle prodding me now about that. I don't have a place to run anymore, so I got to start doing that. You're right.
Looking forward to it.
I don't like to talk about something before it happens, but it's gonna happen. Thank you very much. Hope any of it was a little bit interesting. Hope guys were ready.
Everybody, David Wronski. So John Paul's going to do a seminar about John and the Night Riders. Then these guys are actually going to get up and do a few John and the Night Riders songs, and then they're playing a whole set later tonight. So don't go anywhere, stay till the end. And those 45s that he was talking about, they're for sale right over here at the Colorado Fanzine, Surf Music Fanzine table.